Yes, good morning. Thank you, Mrs. Praveena, for that welcome note. Hi, and welcome to this live session. I hope I'm audible to all. Firstly, let me wish you all a wonderful 2026, and I maybe be able to accomplish all that we have planned for this year. Okay, so before I start on with my topic, that is a language to dream, English from the early years, let me introduce myself. My name is Mary Binoy, as Mrs. Praveena had just told. I'm a postgraduate in English, and I have been teaching for the past 15 to 16 years, and I've been teaching advanced English for clearing exams like IELTS, PT, and OET. And I have had students ranging between 8 years and almost 65 years, I should say. Although a doctor by profession, I started off with English because of a passion towards the language. And I have, as I just mentioned, I've been teaching English for these advanced English. And I also teach to students who want to participate in competitions, state level competitions for debate, storytelling, anchoring, and public speaking. So, this is a brief introduction of myself. Well, now let's move on to our session. Well, English as a language um, is quite intimidating, or I would say quite a struggle for many. Now, when I was asked what was a topic I wanted to do, I had no qualms about it. I mean, I definitely knew I wanted to talk about the language. And again, when asked about what would be my topic or what would I say, the thing that came to me, that very word dream, I thought of putting that word there because of a small incident. I would like to start with that story. A person a month and a half ago approached me. So he said he wanted to learn English, and I said, yes, why don't we start? And so once we started, during his introductory session, he told me that he's a badminton coach. And I was like, okay, so why this why do you want to start with English now? Because he told me he was almost in his mid 50s. So he said, well, ma'am, I've been uh, going on with my mother tongue and Hindi, managing. I was doing it. And then he got selected to the Prakash Padukone Academy. And once there, he realized that, if he had to mingle with a lot of other trainers and with students, if he had to coach students, English was a must. So then he said, okay, why not learn it? And that's why he came to me. But as we got going, he opened up more and he told me that, see, ma'am, I think it would have been much more easier if I had maybe started off learning the language at a younger age. So he said during those years, he never thought it necessary because, as we all know, we all study English from a very small age, say from your kindergarten, and then realizing it towards your 50s that you still don't know the language, that really disturbed him, and now he had to study. So this is where this topic comes from. So I think it has to be learned from the early years. Okay, now let me go on to my um, first slide. And as you can see, doing, we'll be talking about the reasons why students don't learn English in their early years. Well, there are a lot of reasons. So we'll go one by one and we'll just see how, what are the reasons. So probably once we know the reasons, maybe we could, get a solution to it. Well, I'll be talking about the solution as well as the reasons. So let me just start off uh, with the first reason. And the first reason is fear of making mistakes. Uh, Children usually feel that they will be mocked at or made fun of when they speak. Because if they have a mistake, obviously they're going to be made fun of. So they, have that fear. So this leads them into not trying and then onto a silence. Well, I do remember once, well, um, during my um, stay in Bangalore, I had to call my friend. And I remember calling her mom and saying, Auntie Sheila Idie. So, and she started laughing. And I was like, okay, what was wrong? And then my friend came on the line and she said, uh, Mary, it's not Idie, it is Idale or Idare. So that was a mistake. It seems Idie is said for non living things. So actually, even I felt funny about it, but then I got really scared. Scared in the sense I didn't want to talk the language anymore. So, and for some time, I just stopped myself. I said, okay, I'm not talking. But later I realized that that was a big mistake because you learn from mistakes. So, children, they have that fear. The next is over focused on exams, not communication. So, what do you mean by it? In most of the schools, English is taught as a subject, not not as a means of communication. So it's just basically you're told to learn the language because you would get marks. So children just by heart it. So they go. I think they're really pretty good at writing everything because they practice it so many times and they're able to write. But when it comes to speaking, they find it difficult. um, well, again, I go to back to an incident that comes to my mind. I In my formative years, I was I had to learn Arabic as well because I was in a foreign country, and I started off with Arabic. I wasn't good at it. I mean, you just starting it, and I used to sit and write and write and learn, and I knew to write it, but then speaking wasn't good enough because I realized, okay, I couldn't speak. That's because we just taught as a subject, not as a means of communication. So I think English definitely needs to be taught in a way that children find they can communicate in it. Well, the next one that most of us have, yeah, I've seen even my older students complaining about this, is the mother tongue dominance. um, you see, most of the students speak in their mother tongue and rarely hear English. So you don't hear the language, and I think then that's going to be difficult for a student to talk or speak. English remains merely a subject, again, not a means to communicate. Well, with that, we see that most of the schools make it compulsory to talk English, to speak in English. Yes, we have that. The thing, it's compulsory. Okay, but then when it is compulsory, it kind of becomes like it becomes like a rule, and usually children have this, I don't know, a dislike towards following rules when they're too strict. And so students don't do that. I think rather it could be made as a habit. So, teachers motivating them, make it a habit, like maybe start with small introductions, slowly, incorporate it into your daily habits. So start it early. So this is it. The next point that I would like to point out is a um, limited vocabulary exposure. Well, usually students learn words that are used in their daily lessons. So, the vocabulary is sort of limited, I should say, because not many new words are introduced in every lesson and they have just a few words. So, they find it very difficult to express certain words. Just let me go to an incident. Well, I was teaching my advanced English learners, and I asked them, well, can we do a festival today? I mean, can we talk about festivals? So, well, I'm from Kerala, and so we had a lot of Malayali students. We had also North Indians. So most of the Malayali students said, okay, ma'am, we'll talk about Onam. So Onam is our, kind of a festival that's celebrated throughout the state. And so I was really happy because I thought, okay, great, because they would be knowing all the words, the vocabulary. So they started off, and they said, "Ma'am, in the morning we make a pookalam." And I just looked at them and I said, "Well, we are talking in English. Ma'am, what's a pookalam supposed to be called? We can just tell it that way, and then we play on the unyal." So all these words, like, sounded correct to them, but they didn't know the English of it, and they tried explaining it to their counterparts. I mean, the North Indian counterparts who were sitting with them. They said, "See, this unyal is something like a wooden bench, like, and there are ropes tied to it." And suddenly, one of the girls said, "Oh, you mean jhula?" And they said, "Ha, okay, yeah." So they understood each other, but they didn't know the English word. And then I told them that it was a swing, and the pookalam is actually called a flower carpet that we lay on the front yard of a house during Onam. All the 10 days we are supposed to do it, but on the main day, it's really a grand one. So I realized that, even those simple words were missing in that vocabulary list that they had in their mind. So I realized, yes, this is a thing, they don't learn it in the early years. They don't know these words because it's never been told to them. So, and maybe they didn't, know that words like these existed also. So that could be a reason. Okay, next on to the next point is the teacher-centric classrooms. Uh, if teachers keep lecturing the whole hour, say we have 45 minutes, a period is 45 minutes in a school. If the teacher keeps lecturing, especially if given on a lesson and on grammar, the students just keep thinking, okay, the English class is just one 45 minutes of boring class, just with grammar, and the teacher keeping on talking doesn't make sense to them, and they just keep listening. Instead, if it was something more interactive, maybe they would have, found it better. Yeah. Then, and also, they would have, they would benefit if they were also made to be a part of it. And students, they just find, I have heard a lot of students come back and say, "Ma'am, we've learned all the rules of grammar and still we don't know English." So it's not just rules, it's like incorporating them into your daily speaking and writing. Okay, on to the next point, which is lack of reading and listening habits. Yes, a very, uh, I would say, a shocking reality to me. Valuable habits of listening and reading have long been forgotten. I still remember I come from an era where libraries were the best hangout places and books were our greatest friends. But I see that this is no longer the case because a lot of other things have taken up the spaces of these, the library and the books, and students are no longer, doing any active reading, and there's no listening also taking place. The listening is very important, as I'll be telling you later on how we could improve it and why is it so important. Taking me to the next point, which is low confidence and fixed mindset. Yeah, students feel that their language many times is not good as some of the other students, and not as good as a teacher also. So um, they say, okay, ours is not as good. So what do? Well, they feel a little bit worried, and I've had a student who used to write excellent essays, but she wasn't good at speaking, and when she had to clear this advanced exam of IELTS, she every time cleared all the other modules except speaking. So she kept She kept attempting the exam, and every time she came back with the same results. And that's when she came to me for classes, and she said, "Ma'am, I just can't get the hang of it. I write good, so but I can't speak." So I said, "Okay, what is it?" Then I said, "Okay, let's give it a try." So I gave her a task and I asked her to speak, and she said she wasn't able to. She kept stuttering at every other word, and she said, it has been there since childhood, since because some of the teachers told her that her pronunciation is not as good, and she needed to improve. She gave it up, and she couldn't do anything. So this is what happened. The next is incorrect foundations at an early age. See, English needs to be introduced with phonics, and this means children should be taught to write the words using phonics or alphabet sounds. So this is actually the base of English, and this base should be strong. So they hear a word, they hear a word from the teacher, they try visualizing it. I mean, hearing it in their mind. Okay, it comes with a sorry, it comes with a sound, and with that sound, trying to decipher how the word is or to spell out the word. Okay, so we go on to the next point, which is no real life usage. For most of the students, the use of English is limited to the school and usually during the English period. When the use is increased, they tend to become better. For example, whenever a student sets foot into my classes, I see that, I ask them about what is your favorite pastime, what is your favorite hobby. So this actually is an icebreaker. They try, then they open up, then they start talking, and they get better. So you know you need to make them use it, see where the use can be brought in. Maybe when they start saying a hobby, you can help them out with words, and slowly they realize, okay, it's not as difficult, or it's they could learn it. Okay, the next and the last is comparison and pressure. As with anything, these two factors prevents learning, because these create anxiety, discourages them from participating in any activity, and also makes them withdraw. Usually when teaching a class of say 18 or 20 students, what I do is I pick out the most shy student, and then I tell that student to say his or her dream. And once she starts saying the dream, she gets lost in it. I mean, she keeps talking slowly, and I make it a point that I tell the others, see, we all have dreams. See how she has told about her dream, and how different it is, how unique it is. She feels valued. She feels that she no longer is under pressure. She's not being compared to anyone, because dreams are unique, and it differs. So as we said, so these are the reasons, and a sort of solutions. I think you've got an idea about what the solutions could be, but let's go on to the next part, which is what are the strategies that could be followed. Now we have strategies that can be um, used at home, as as well as at school. So we'll start with at home. So at home, we have the first strategy is create an English friendly environment. So as a as parents, we want children, we want to encourage our children. So you could talk to them. You don't have to make it very elaborate. You could just talk to them about the usual things. Like you could ask them, how was your day? What did you do at school? And you could just tell them to speak. Don't mind that they use their mother tongue in between. Just encourage them. So you ask them in English, you expect an answer, let them keep talking, and you could add on. The next is the daily reading ritual. Well, this needs to be started actually I would say this usually starts when the baby is uh, in the womb at 7 months. The mother or the father can read out to the baby. Then, as the baby comes out, keep reading. It just changes. The books just change. You keep telling stories from books. Then, when the child is old enough to sit up, you could start with pop-up books. You could show them pop-up books, and then it becomes a habit. The greatest habit I think that should remain throughout your life is newspaper reading. And today we have a lot of newspapers that are specially catering to children, the at school editions, which they take meticulous effort to bring out such wonderful newspapers, where they have brought in headlines from the real newspaper into a way that the child understands, and they only include stories that are specific to children. They don't bring in, for example, they don't bring in any news about violence or rape or anything that is negative. They bring in all the positive stories. They ask on the weekends they have maybe quizzes, and it's quite helpful. The next is talk about everyday life. While talking to a child, you start interacting with them. Ask them as they are helping, maybe they are helping out in the kitchen. So you could ask them the names of vegetables. It might seem very simple, but then just ask them. It's good. Keep in touch with things. Or say the child is helping out with other chores, like for example, um, maybe folding clothes. Yeah, you could ask them what type of clothes are used in winter, or what's the material this fabric is made of, what is the fabric of it. So you could ask them questions like this. The next point is encourage speaking without the fear of correction. Allow them to speak and correct the mistakes only at the end. Don't keep correcting in between. That might lead to a break in the flow of their speaking. For example, maybe once a week, you could ask them to talk on a particular topic. Just tell them like, speak on this. Give them topics according to their age appropriate topics. The next point is use screen smartly. Encourage them to use screens, probably to improve their language by watching animation movies. Okay, so see, they are going to use screens. Whatever you tell them not to do, they're going to use screens. So let them use it smartly. Animation movies, I still remember during my childhood we had this particular cartoon series known as Where on Earth is Carmen Santiago. Yeah, and this particular character, or there were two detectives by the names of Ivy and Zach, and they used to go around the world to solve cases. So it was really fun because they went to a particular country and then they would start talking about that country. And since they were these cartoon characters, and since it was really fun to watch it, I got into the habit of watching. And by, I realized that it was helping me in my geography also, because I learned about countries so easily, unlike when you had to go through the books. So this is what, bring in animation movies, ask them to see it. They could improve their language, definitely. The next is celebrate effort, not fluency. So what do we mean by celebrate effort, not fluency? Is that uh, most of the time you can't expect children to talk fluently. So allow them to talk, encourage them, and appreciate the effort they take. And I remember I used to find it very difficult to speak in Hindi. So I thought it was like I was going into broken Hindi and I couldn't speak. So I thought of not speaking at all. So but when I reached my eighth standard, I got a friend who used to speak Hindi, and she said, "Come on, let's speak Hindi." Like it was kind of fun. I was speaking to her, and she would tell me the corrections at the end, and like she would say, "It's not that way. This is the way, Mary. Let's try it again." And it became fun. Actually, the whole process was fun, and I enjoyed it. And um, you know in some time I was able to talk better. So this is what. So this is something that should be done. Okay, so these were the strategies that could be followed at home. Let's go on, move on to the strategies that can be used at school. So teachers, this is something that you can do in your schools. So first one is shift from teacher talk to student talk. Now, as I had earlier mentioned, instead of taking lectures and keeping on talking, it would be better if students spoke more during these language classes. For example, you can get them to do role plays, or probably you can ask them to talk about a particular lesson, and then the others could, pour in their ideas. What did they think about that particular story or a poem? For example, if it's a poem, you can ask them, okay, what did you feel? What did you think the poet was trying to say? What is your idea? So, ask them to speak, and I think that helps a lot because students tend to become, more interactive. They become more into what they're doing. The next is make speaking a daily routine. Initiate students into talking on a daily basis by giving them tasks. Probably, you could ask them different things like go look at the papers, see the newspapers. You've got something important every day. Make it a habit. The first 5 or 10 minutes, discuss about what the newspapers were telling, or something of that sort. Or you could give them flashcards. So I remember I had my public speaking class and I wanted the students to talk. So if I give them random topics, it would be like a little bit, I thought it was a little bit difficult for them. So I thought, okay, why not give them flashcards? So I gave this little girl a flashcard of a tomato. And I told her, okay, you have a minute, just prepare, then we'll talk. She came out with the most beautiful story, I should say. She started saying, ma'am, once upon a time, there was Mr. Tomato and Mr. Green Peas. But Mr. Green Peas didn't like Mr. Tomato because he was red in color. And then Mr. Green Peas gathered all his green folks and started fighting. But Mr. Tomato fought and he said, see, I'm the brightest of all. So I thought, okay, if she, I mean, she had wove a beautiful story, and I thought that was great. The next is teach vocabulary in context. Okay, so you introduce new words depending on the context, and by this, students will remember what the vocabulary. Say, ask students to describe their favorite animal, and during this, you could introduce new words. So, say they're talking about an elephant. Now, we all know that they're going to tell about the task, the tusk, the hide of the elephant, and say the trunk, everything. They're going to be talking about that. It's great. But then you could introduce new words, like you could ask them, do you know what an elephant can be called? The other words for the animal. So tell them, you could call the elephant a tusker, you could call the elephant a pachyderm or a jumbo. New words. Now, what do you call a person who takes care, works with an elephant? Most of the time, students are unaware about that word. It's a mahot. So, words are learned. So, this is another way. The next is focus on phonics and pronunciation early. So, this is what I was talking about earlier. We need to make them aware about phonics. It's kind of a little bit tricky, but it's very useful because say we have a, which is a very easy word to write, but when you speak in your phonics, a has different sounds. For example, a is pronounced differently for apple, cake, and ball. See, you have different pronunciations. So, phonics helps children understand these differences for better reading and better spelling. Pronunciation is also important because it helps children, or for that matter, it helps every person to understand dialogues that are said in movies. Now we find it very difficult to understand movies. It's because of the pronunciation, and we keep telling, well, that is their accent. That's not an accent, it's a pronunciation. For example, the very word pronunciation, everybody keeps, most of them, I should say, most of them keeps telling it's pronunciation. See, it's pronunciation. So there itself. So learn these, learn the pronunciation of words. Try doing it as early as possible. Next is allow thinking time. So most importantly, tell them to think and speak in English, which obviously it takes time. So give them this time, let them think, don't hurry them, let them think, take their pace, com- complete sentences for them only when they find it difficult or when they're struggling a lot. And I, as I said, when I go for my public speaking sessions, I have little children who are like, 8 to 10 years old, and they find it difficult when they have to speak about things. So I give them ideas, I give them time, and then I, tell them to speak. Then they get a few ideas, I add on to it. Then the next person has more better ideas. So, they keep improvising on it. So I think ideas are needed. We need to help them, allow them that time to think. Next is create a safe classroom. So, a safe classroom is when you say, they don't, uh, they feel safe there. So, please don't make fun of children, um, as this breaks their confidence. And once the confidence is broken, it's very difficult. So, they look up to you as a teacher. So, live up to it. Don't mock them. Let them make their mistakes. Tell them lovingly that this is not how it is, and correct them. I had a student who had enrolled for IELTS, or International English Language Testing System. He was scared when he came into the class. He was really scared, and I realized he was scared because of his stature. He was a little short, and he was afraid that students are going to make fun of him. So he had that complex, and then to come and speak in English, he was finding it difficult. So I made it very comfortable. Like, I kept asking everyone questions, just like, and I asked him also. And when he said, I didn't, try to say that was wrong or correct. He just went with answers, and then I corrected each person. So he realized, okay, he was just one among the rest, and he got a confidence. And that confidence actually helped him because he was able to clear the exam. And he told me later, I thought I would never be able to do it. But ma'am, you were very, you were giving me that confidence that I didn't find elsewhere, because every time he was made fun of, fun as a person and about his language. So, try create that safe classroom. Next is connect English to real life. Um, uh, you know, bring in activities. Like I said, bring in activities, and involve them in something and connect it to the real life. So I remember once I gave them an activity of marketing products. I told them, okay, see, you'll be given certain products. Like I gave them one group, I gave them a bag, and the group I gave them a shoe, and I told them, okay, you're going to market it. How are you going to market it? So obviously they brought in a lot of ideas. They brought in new words like affordable, costly, not expensive. Different words. They brought in different words: material, fabric, um, take back policy. See, they had a lot of words in store. It was just that they have never used it, or they didn't have the need to use. But now they found it really useful. And going on to the last one, involve parents gently. I know at school you find it difficult just to, be there, just to do that during that time. So you need parents also to help. It would be good to involve them, but look back, I mean, look into the child. I mean, see if they're able to get that help at home. Because I know I go to a government school where children come from, homes where parents hardly know any English. So telling them to go back and talk to their parents and get help is not something that's practical. So, I tell them, okay, why don't you do that? Like sit in the class itself, maybe after school hours or during lunch hour, take 5-10 minutes, talk among yourselves, because now you can improve among yourselves. Bring in new words, maybe collect 4 5 words from home, take it down from your mobile, write it down, bring it, discuss. You could improve on it. So these are the strategies that we could use. I think we're coming to the end of our session. But before I wind up, let me tell you a short story about a girl who was initially really not, I would say, um, English was not her cup of tea initially. So that girl is none other than the famous actress Priyanka Chopra. Well, she was brought up in Bareilly, India, and she lived in a Hindi-speaking environment. So she didn't have any chances to improve on her language, um, and when she was 13 years old, she moved to the US to live with her aunt. And once there, she realized that she felt out of place. She didn't know what to do. But what she did there initially is um, was initially she was finding it very difficult. She struggled with English pronunciation. She spoke with a strong Indian accent. So you know how others would have been looking at her at a different way, and she must have also felt it, and she felt like conscious and uncomfortable. So instead of learning English through grammar drills, what she did is she spoke English. She spoke English daily at school and home. Whatever come, maybe she started speaking it. She watched English TV shows and listened carefully to how people spoke. Then she also did the most important thing of reading books and magazines aloud. With all these techniques, her English become began to improve. She found it effortless to speak. Today, as you know, we she is known globally for her confidence, fluency, and her expressive English. Um, whether be it in Bollywood or Hollywood, and whether she's doing shows or hosting events or acting, whatever it is, she, you know, impeccable English. So it's all thanks to her effort and the way how she got a chance to, improve it. So I think this is what has to be done. uh, get them young. When the children are young, start it in a way that the children find English fun to learn. Don't make it an a kind of a rule or something that they would hate. Help them out. Make them communicate. Bring it in such a way that children enjoy the lessons. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this session. So if you do have any questions, please do ask me. So this is your time for the question and answer session. And thank you, School Reformer, for giving me such an opportunity. And thank you, Mrs. Pravina. So on to the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. If you can stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Are you shutting down the computer, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Click it, please. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's taking time. We'll move on to the questions, ma'am. What role does mother tongue play when introducing English early?
Well, mother tongue could help translate certain words. Like I had just mentioned, children came up with the words they come up with words that they usually use at home. You could hear that words and then tell them the English and then try, repeating it on a daily basis, especially when they're small children. Make them repeat it a couple of times. So mother tongue, I would say, is the gateway to English. So the mother tongue, it becomes a little more easier. But see that they don't use mother tongue to think and then translate word by word. That doesn't work.
So, what's the role of storytelling and early English learning, ma'am?
Oh, I think it has a big role because when you say stories, you actually bring in a lot of words there. For example, I still remember that I had a storytelling session to bring in English words. And I remember every time I told a new word, I wrote it down on the board. I actually wrote it down thinking that, well, let them get the spelling or let them just look at it. But I realized that they had written down everything. They had written down everything in the books and then they were writing, asking me for the translation as well. So by the end of the story, they had actually got around 10 to 12 words, new words. So it was actually quite helpful. I would say storytelling has a very big role. Through storytelling, you could introduce any language, not just English, any language. And English plays a bigger role because, um, you know, English is important. And it's a global language.
So, what are common obstacles children face when learning English early?
Uh, like I said, all these are the obstacles. Like, they have that fear. People might mock at them. Then they find it quite uncomfortable to use the words. And sometimes they want to use it at home. Like I said, they want to use it at home, but they don't have opportunities to use it at home. They don't have opportunities to use it anywhere. So early learning, this is a problem. Secondly, lot of the concepts in languages might not be understood as such when you are learning it early. So these are the obstacles that I find usually, but slowly we have learned to overcome it by bringing in solutions to all this. For example, forms. Children find it that even as a child, I used to find William Shakespeare really difficult to understand because in fourth and fifth standard, getting a William Shakespeare poem was like, it was a humongous task. I remember Rabindranath Tagore's Where the Mind is Without Fear, learning it when in ninth, and we just learned it by heart. But as the years went by, I realized that I became more aware of meanings. And I was finding that I could quote it in several places during debates or something because now I had found a better meaning to it. So things do help. Learning it earlier is better, but we have to overcome these obstacles.
Last but not the least, ma'am, how do we measure language progress in early years?
As in exams, did you mean exams or
In general.
yeah? So I think it would be good at the year end to see how much students have learned in English by making them speak because each student needs to speak. So it would be good, like giving them a chance at the year end. Probably not something that's what do you say, marked or analyzed. It's just something that we want to know how students have progressed from year to year. So, say when they are in second standard, at the year end, get them all to speak a little about what has happened over the year. How did they feel throughout the year? Or to talk about their best friend, or say tell about the annual day. So give them different topics, ask them to speak, so you could see how much of improvement has taken place, how much fluent they have become, how much of vocabulary has been added to their um, the speaking, or how many new words they have learned over the year. So that would be one
Mm.
method.
Thank you so much, ma'am. School Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions, ma'am. It was a very detailed talk. Anything else you want to mention before I end the session?
No, I'm really happy that you gave me a platform to speak, because this is a topic that has been always something that I wanted to talk about, especially since I see that today youngsters come to me and say the same complaint that, ma'am, we should have learned this earlier. So start from the base, start from kindergarten. um, and like I said, 7 months, when the baby is 7 months in the uterus, start from them, reading out to them, so it will create a bond. And I would like to say one more thing. I think both mothers and fathers should take a active participation in reading out, because it's said that when fathers read out to the children, it improves their confidence, and when mothers read out to the children, it decreases the stress in the child. So both of them should take chances, read out to the child, help in the improvement, and see that English is improved, and it will help. Thank you so much, Mrs. Praveena, for giving me this platform. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll end the meeting now.